A lot of R&B artists, they ain't got boot the door down personalities.
They just don't get pushed.
Welcome to Shakka and Friends R&B Brunch.
It's either hypersexual or yes, my sister, black power.
Yeah.
We've just had a delicious brunch.
Banging.
And hard.
You can propel a genre. We've seen it happen with drill. Do you get what I mean? There isn't really that emphasis with R&B.
Do you feel like, as darker-skinned ladies, that has a part to play?
The main man Shakka alongside
6 special guests.
Alana, Bellah, Mnelia, Amun and Samm, Henshaw.
R&B didn't originate in this country. So that's one thing that a lot of people need to remember.
Once you've signed the contract, you have to wait for someone else to press the green button before you can drop.
No one can deny a mad melody. It's literally the formula, bro.
Thank you so much for coming down. Let's do this.
Name me the top R&B UK artists that get played on radio. Tell me. This is the +44 podcast. I'm Zeze Millz.
Yeah, what's that about?
What was that all
I'm
about?
Sideman. Music
Culture.
UK. This is +44 from Amazon Music.
When I heard LMA's music, or when I heard Nail's music, or when I heard Mnelia's music, I heard something that came from where I came from, but the music banged. These people have found, these incredible musicians rather, have found ways to be able to cut through with a sound that's quote unquote difficult to break in the UK.
But do you think they're all rated enough?
What is enough?
There's so many underrated, like, okay, everyone you just named, name me the top R&B UK artists that get played on radio. Tell me.
So first,
They get
Shakka.
played.
Bless you.
Second,
Mnelia.
Mnelia.
okay.
Does she get played
Because then
enough?
what
Really
I
just bang on
say,
really.
But
my
does she get
question
played
to that
enough?
question.
But I have a response to that.
That's what, one second.
Okay. Also, it's like the genre of R&B has changed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, I wouldn't necessarily call Mnelia R&B.
I don't either. I was not.
I wouldn't
nowadays.
Talk about this. No, unpack this. I want to hear you unpack this. Like, why would you say the
I
genre of
hear
R&B
you.
is safe?
Completely.
because I wouldn't call her R&B. I would call it some like neo soul.
1000%.
Yeah, I agree.
It is,
right. Yeah.
So I wouldn't class her as R&B.
Yeah.
And I feel like the singers that have that weird quirky.
No, I completely understand, but I also believe with R&B, it's a genre, if you don't adapt, you die.
Yes.
Right?
All genres
So-
like that.
Number one, that's the first fact.
I'm gonna use Mnelia's song for example, right? Say Yeah.
Big rhythm.
Big Rhythm came out last year and people liked it because it was nostalgic, but it was still fresh.
Thank you.
It was still modern.
Yeah,
right?
but
It
I
had the
had-
balance. So the flows that she had on there was very 2020.
I'm just gonna sit here and blush.
Right?
Thanks.
But the sound was still very, cool. I feel like I'm in the 2000s again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
So you still have to adapt.
You have to
When
adapt.
the
balance.
Why?
If Tupac jumped out the grave right now and listened to a Young Thug tune, you'd be like, this ain't rap. But hold on. But it's rap to Young Thug. So you might look at an artist and say they're not R&B because of what you remember and hold R&B as. But maybe they think differently. And as I said, I think that the model that R&B artists should follow, me personally is what I think, yeah. If you're struggling to break through, is to do what you can until you can do what you want to.
100%.
You might have to somewhat fit to the mold of what's going on right now, but when you get popping, for instance, all right, let's say somebody like a Georgia Smith now or Mnelia, they're at a level now where if they release something full-blown R&B, people will at least give it a try. We have to accept that people's love for music is also attached to them having a relationship with the artist. When it's an artist you know, it's almost like your brain tells you.
Like it.
Yeah.
And until you learn to accept that.
How
then
you feel about Drake?
If Drake releases something, that's getting listened to. Even when it's kind of
You're gonna nod your head.
I can make this work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Someone's going to jump in. Go on.
Your point, I get it, but to some degree, I think it's too broad of a statement to make.
Do what you can.
Yeah,
Do what you can until you can do what you want.
I think it's a little harder for people to do that in this country, especially making R&B music, because R&B didn't originate in this country. So that's one thing that a lot of people need to remember.
Firstly.
It's not ours.
Yeah.
So when you think about something like, we're a very patriotic country. So when you think about something like grime, it's the reason why it does well, it's ours. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then you also got to take into account that this is a very small country.
An R&B artist in America could just be popping in their state.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
You can
It's
literally
so
have
cute.
you can have
Then
an
maybe we
entire
should just
career
change the name then.
talking about R&B in this country. If you're thinking about it from like an American perspective, it's a little harder to like
So
make some
hard.
of
But
those
that's why I think you gotta put the candy in the medicine.
I feel like it's very damaging because you've got, like, for example, R&B artists that will feel like, for example, I need to do drill right now, or I need to be on a rapper song in order to bust. us.
It's not genuine. There are songs that I don't listen to anymore because I was like, I didn't want to do that. My artistic integrity, that's on the line, and that's what's important to me.
I hear that.
I would say you're a veteran, you've been around for a while, but you're only releasing your first album now. So why did it take so long?
I think a lot of people at this table will share the same sentiment. It's important to be in a space where at least 50% of the people who are on your team understand what you're trying to say or understand what you're trying to do. And if you don't do that, then you'll put art that you didn't want to put out. And what will happen is you'll end up essentially, if not watering down the art, or rather putting out art based on the law that you dictated, the idea that you have to make something first before you're able to make something yourself. I agree half as much. I feel like there's an importance to understanding what your DNA has to offer the rest of the world, because not everybody can be like everybody else. Nines already exists, Gets already exists, Samm Henshaw already exists, Mnelia already exists. We're not trying to copy anybody else, we're just trying to be ourselves.
Like when it comes down to like the hip hop example, a lot of the, especially right now, it's the most popular thing. So them not just, they're churning out stuff because it's like, it's easy to copy what everyone else is doing.
Exactly.
We don't really have like a blueprint of like the greatest things that we can really copy. Was decades ago. I'm not saying that we need a blueprint, but what I'm saying is that that's the reason why.
Let me extend what you're saying and also answer a question. I feel like there aren't many role models for us to be able to say, okay, cool, I want to do something like the SZA of the UK, or I want to do something like the Frank Ocean of the UK. I've been in labels, yeah. I've come to them and I've been like, yo, so I've got an EP called The Lost Boys. There's like a concept, there's an emotion, there's sets, and there's also bangers on the rhythm. So I've got Chip on the EP, I've got Jamie on the EP. So it's no longer a question of whether or not I can put this EP out and people aren't going to be like, oh, it's got these cosigns on it, let's run with it, do you know what I mean? Yeah. After we've put the first record out and it does well and we perform at the Mobos and the Mobos are like, yo, you're getting an R&B award, I'm like, this is all mad. After that, the label are like, we're not sure what the next song is. And in my mind, I'm like, I have a 5-track EP, we could shoot a video for this, we could shoot a video for this, we could put money down for this. But it takes 9 months. Now comes the question, like, should I have gone with this team? The second question is, did they sign me for this song or did they sign me for my artistic offering? And that's a huge question that a lot of us have to contend with, because as creatives, we're sitting there thinking, I want to be where Stevie Wonder is, I want to be where Drake is, but now we're in a position where, again, it's taken 9 months. And in this situation, once you've signed the contract, like, you have to wait for someone else to press the green button before you can drop. Whereas if you're independent and you have the P, you can actually fund your own
I'm not even going to say have the P.
So I feel like
it's an essential part of the whole.
It is.
It might not look like
Especially for females.
If I pulled up today, and for example, like I'm playing white tee and like some bust down jeans and like maybe some, I don't know, Crocs, you will look at me very different. It's all about perception, especially in R&B. It's all about perception.
I think you can do whatever you want to do.
You look at it from a different way, like they know because they're women. Even me, like when I do stuff, it's only because I've always kind of like.
You don't care.
Yeah, but that's because.
Are you successful? Yes.
Yeah, no.
Care?
But no. But I'm not an artist, and people are not buying into me, and women are not buying into me.
There's a lot of presenter girls out there that will say right now, I can't just show up on the set and just look anyway. They'll say the exact same thing whilst you're doing it. All I'm saying is, okay, let's use LMA Boo for an example, right? I don't believe when she put that out that she believed that was going to do what it did. I just want to see R&B artists get to the point where they just fling stuff out and see if it works. Let's say it's true to you and you love it.
Okay, we keep bringing up people like LMA and Georgia Smith, okay?
I know exactly where she's going.
These girls look a certain type of way. As darker skinned ladies, you've got dark skinned ladies, like you're a little bit, fine. But like, I feel that has a huge part to play in the way that these ladies are perceived, okay? Georgia Smith, light-skinned lady. LMA, light-skinned lady, okay? I've heard other songs from other darker-skinned ladies that are probably better than those songs and whatever, and they've not done that great. LMA, Georgia Smith, they're very digestible, they're palatable. You look at them, great, lovely, okay? As darker-skinned ladies, do you feel that has a part to play?
I'm not going to say no. I'm not going to say
no pressure into giving it.
Don't say no.
I'm not going to say no.
You have to say yes.
Because I know that the stuff that a lighter skinned woman can get away with, you might feel you have to put loads of makeup on all the time because you're a darker skinned lady and you know you want to look a certain type of way. I saw Georgia Smith perform the other day and she didn't have like shitloads of makeup on. She's whatever and she's accepted.
I believe I'm beautiful. I don't care what.
You are beautiful, of course.
Yeah, right. I do believe that there's a presentable dark skin. in the sense of like me and Mons, maybe even Amun, may have to look a certain way, especially if we're singing a certain thing to appear appealing.
That's very interesting.
Let me, going back to what you said about Zeze and not caring, right? Zeze's form of interviewing is very, it's like,
she's defined.
So guess what?
You know what I mean?
It's nonchalant.
It's
so
in
if
your
she
face,
decides
it's fresh.
to present herself as fresh face, I came in a trackie, it's because it aligns with the brand.
Yeah.
Cool. Normani just dropped a song called Wild Side.
Yeah.
Do you think she could be singing all this sexy, but not a full face and makeup and those clothes? You need to buy into the fantasy, right? And with dark-skinned women, we have to do it just a little bit more for everyone to go, oh yeah, she looks like Kelly Rowland. You know, the acceptable, the Ryan Destinies. If you don't look a certain way, you then get put into this category of this wholesome, yes, my sister, black power, scarf. So you've got, like, for me in the UK, an incredible artist is called Kat Burns, but you would not align Kat Burns with what we do because one of the type of music and the way she presents herself, right? You've got that kind of India R&B vibe with that. So it's either hypersexual or that's like my big sis.
Personally, as you can see, I'm lighter, so I believe if you're an artist, you are an artist. It doesn't matter what you look like. As you can see, all of us four here, we're all in the same age range. We are all black, but we all look different. This is how I like to dress as an artist. I will go on stage like this. They'll wear heels, I'll wear Yeezys. This is
that's
me.
the difference,
And
I hear
what
that.
I'm trying to say is, as an artist, you are a brand. So people have to buy into you. People like Rihanna because they like Rihanna. They like Bad Gyal Riri. Some of her songs aren't the greatest. Some of Beyonce's songs are not the greatest, but we like Beyonce.
That literally ties into relatability.
And what I want to say, regardless of even if the skin is darker or lighter, it's still the same. You're gonna buy into me because of how I am and my music, and I can't change myself. It depends how you want to be. Some artists don't mind being kind of, you know, on the more low-key side, more underrated. That's fine.
It's an individual thing, right? Me personally, when I was putting up my first single, I had A&Rs tell me, R&B in the UK. I was like, I'm gonna put it out anyway because that's what I want to do.
Why are R&B artists signing so early?
Because investment,
money,
which leads on to the point
It's
that I was gonna
expensive.
say.
Let me wait. A lot of people that don't actually know about what's required in order to make or in order to build such an illustrious, captivating brand such as Normani or such as Kalani or such as many others who have eyes on the end of the name, apparently. I feel like with someone like Normani, do you have a hotshot dancer?
Yeah. Sean Bankhead.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much. Working with Normani to create a video that make people go, what just happened on YouTube? So you have that one, right? That's the talking point. Then you have Cardi B who's collaborating on the thing. Now, Cardi B requires makeup. She definitely requires styling. She definitely requires maybe someone to write the record with her. That's P, and P, right? Normani, same thing. You have the lighting, you have the scenery, and this is all like components to make this type of a brand. Do you know what I mean? With someone like myself or someone like Samm Henshaw, Samm is fortunate enough to know how to write, how to produce if you wanted to, based on the way in which society is, as guys and as girls, we're expected to do different things when it comes to visuals and different things when it comes to sound, different things when it comes to performances and stuff. So if Samm has an offering or if Samm drops, he doesn't have the hairstylist, he doesn't have the makeup artist, he might have a barber on set, or we may have just got a trim the night before. The requirement for us to look our best on camera, the requirement for us to sell the fantasy that you described is not as much. But the fact is, there's still P that's required to sell this fantasy, unless you're selling an entirely different fantasy. Like, for example, one of my favorite artists right now is Slow Tie. And as a rapper, his pen is stupid, but also his ability to be able to convey insanity on screen and also chaos on screen.
A brand.
But the thing is, the requirements in order to do something like that. Man jumped in the studio, wrote a 128 bar verse for Tea and Biscuits, and the rest of the world went insane, right? But in order to connect with something like 7 o'clock on the dot, I'm in my drop top, singing in the streets, you want to see a drop top. You want to see his hair on point. His artistic offering is entirely different and therefore requires different tools and different resources, and you have a large community of people who gravitate towards that. My album in particular is called Road Trip to Venus. That's coming out in September. And the beauty of that is, or rather I believe thank you guys. I think the beauty of...
I think that's a great name.
I like the name.
Thank you.
It's hard.
I knew that the songs that I put on the album was a journey of love in general, first and foremost. The second thing I thought was the fact that I feel like women aren't listened to enough. And I feel like Venus is a symbol of where the answer of love lies. I also believe that there's an ignorance and like a childlike ability of even thinking that you could drive in a car to Venus, which is in outer space. But aside from all of that, I also feel like R&B is a cornerstone of my music and has been since my first few projects, based on the way I sing, based on the way I deliver my notes. But then I also celebrate many in the genres that have been in existence in our stratosphere for years, the lineage that we come from. So we're talking R&B, but we're also talking dub reggae, and we're also talking drill. But you've got my voice on top of it. Like Usher and Chris Brown and Black couldn't make this because they weren't born in the place that we were born in. And so the distillation that I'm trying to create is something that I feel like we,
UK,
at this table can celebrate and be like, I know this. I feel like a lot of these challenges that we face as musicians, things that I'm passionate about that I talk about, like I found something that was so powerful that Zeze said, I won't spoil it because it'll be on the album, hopefully, when you guys hear it.
She's on the album.
She's on the album.
Okay, get your PRS, baby.
Give her her flowers.
Get them royalties.
Give her her flowers. Give her her flowers. But I feel like the album in particular for me, hopefully you'll listen to a character in this album and be like, oh my God, that's so me. Do you know what I mean? Like
It's relatable.
I'm trying to.
One second. With the success of Man Down, In the Heart of the Storm, how did it feel having that success?
A multitude of feelings.
That's what I would assume. Did you feel like, oh my God, is this what they're going to see me for?
Well, bear in mind, like whenever you have any kind of offering in general, like there's always going to be a feeling of like, are they going to want replications of that? Yeah. There's always going to be that thought in your mind. You know what I mean? The label will say that. They'll find fancy words to say it, but they really want.
But they really like, do it again. Do that thing again.
And the beauty of my situation is, like I say, like I'd been in 3 different recording contracts, and in every single one of those situations, people were not the same.
I was gonna say.
But like,
how do you do that? Let me know how you do that.
You can have my arm. You can have my leg.
At the same time, no, it's long. But being in those different deals, I saw that they asked me exactly the same question. Can you make another version of Say Nada? Can you make another version of Too Bad Bad? Can you make another version of Man Down? Can you make another version of whatever song that I did at that time that was winning right now? Because unfortunately, the label is essentially a company. They're trying to make sure that they hit these financial targets. And if this artist ain't keeping the lights on, then I'm sorry, but we're not going to be able to invest. And one of the things that they do to ensure that is to make clones of the original songs. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I definitely felt that. And part of the multitude of feelings that I felt wasn't just that. It was the idea that I'm in a situation where I've got a platinum selling record, like 600,000 units. That's never happened to me. That's never happened to anyone who sounds like me, who sings like me. Like it's thank you, blessings. The beauty of that situation is that people who do sound like me, who do look like me, who do have my accent or live the lifestyles that we talk about, can look at that and be like, right, okay, so I don't have to do what I have to do in order to be who I want to be. Because this blueprint exists. I genuinely feel like whenever you're in that situation, it's kind of difficult to gauge how to navigate because there are no blueprints after that, aside from your Craig Davids or your Seals or whoever else that you want to mention who's bust it up beforehand, you know?
What we're talking about right now is, in essence, building something from scratch, right? You know what I'm saying? I believe Zeze's done that. I believe I've done that. If I was doing music now, I would understand, okay, you know what? I'm making this tune and let me add a little bit of what they want to it a bit as well.
I absolutely agree with what you're saying in terms of work ethic. Right? But the moment you tell a creative, you have to kind of it's very disheartening. Some artists don't want to be what you think a pinnacle of an artist should be.
You do things to feed your family.
Yes.
You always talk about retiring. You always talk about, I'm doing this to get the bag. The bag is the main goal. So this is where sometimes I feel like that mentality, you then try to inject it into this which is not, because they are saying, you're telling them to do stuff so that they can just get the bag. They're saying, we are creatives. I can't just do a poppy song because I know it's going to get me further. I feel that's where
for instance, I've never promoted alcohol because I don't drink. I still understand there's things in this game to this day that, you know what, I have to do it. It's not my favorite thing in the world.
But what you can't go and do is say, hey, pull up your boots and get to work. Because I have to go to the studio and listen to that song every day and put out that work, right? There are songs that I don't listen to anymore because I was like, I didn't want to do that. And it's my artistic integrity that's on the line. And that's what's important to me.
I hear that. If you've got something that you believe in, let us hear it. Bun the label, bun the this, bun the that. Let's keep hearing it. Like, put out more music. I feel like the output of music from R&B artists is really poor in comparison to the other. Just about able to hold a note. Rappers, right? Really rappers, right, that decided to just put just a little dab of melody in their song.
I feel like it's important to remember that the type of art we're making is entirely different. Like, irrespective of what your perspective is of a lot of these artists that you like, the fact remains the same. Banksy does different stuff to Picasso, and that's just as simple as that. So for you to ask him to paint a certain way, or to ask Picasso to paint a certain way, it's a violation to the way in which they do art.
Stream the +44 playlist on Amazon Music or ask Alexa, play the +44 podcast.